Let's go live right now. The Premier is speaking in Etobicoke. Let's listen in.
And innovation is amazing, not to mention all the jobs you support. And thank you for everything you do, Bobby. Now it's our turn to support our amazing workers and businesses by making this an Ontario-made summer. And friends, our plan to give people more choice and convenience when it comes to buying alcohol in Ontario does exactly that. The status quo right now favors big business interests over small business owners, and I don't think that's fair. Our plan will create new growth opportunities for wineries, distillers, and breweries, just like Cool Beer, to expand and create more jobs. And it's going to create new growth opportunities for thousands of small businesses and small business owners, including convenience stores and more independent grocery stores. As we announced earlier this year, by this fall, every convenience, grocery, and big box store in Ontario will be able to sell beer, cider, wine, and ready-to-drink alcoholic beverages like coolers and seltzers. These stores, this new marketplace, will give people in Ontario the kind of choice and convenience other Canadians enjoy, while providing Ontario-based producers like the one we're standing in today and the small businesses that are the lifeblood of our communities, with opportunities to grow, find and serve new customers, and create jobs. As we implement our plan to deliver more choice and convenience, the LCBO will continue to play a critical role in the new marketplace as exclusive wholesaler, as a key distributor, with an unrivaled retail footprint. And I want to be clear, the LCBO will remain a public asset. I also want to be equally clear, we are moving forward with our plan, a plan that we were elected twice by the people of Ontario to deliver. As sure as I'm standing here, I will keep that promise. As of August the 1st, grocery stores currently licensed to sell beer or wine will be able to sell ready-to-drink beverages. Thousands of businesses are preparing for this exciting milestone. They've ordered fridges, dedicated shelf space, or started to hire and train new staff. I'm not going to let those folks down. We're going to make sure we get this done. The good news is I firmly believe LCBO and OPSU can reach a deal that respects our amazing frontline workers and gets them back serving customers. Let's not forget, last week, the LCBO made a fair and reasonable offer, an offer that puts forward solutions to address job security and enhance benefits for workers. It converts 400 casual employees to permanent full-time and offers a 7% wage increase over 3 years. Unfortunately, OPSU still hasn't responded to this offer. Instead of bargaining, instead of staying at the table, they called a press conference to announce a strike hours before the deadline. LCBO remains ready, eager, and willing to get back to the bargaining table, but rolling back a plan we have a clear mandate from the people to implement isn't up for discussion. Instead, OPSU needs to focus on the issues that matter to workers: wages, benefits, and job security. Friends, Ontario's so much stronger when we work together. I want us to work together to support our workers, and I want us to work together to support our brewers, our wineries, and our distillers, as well as all of the thousands of retailers selling amazing Ontario-made products. So let's make it an Ontario-made summer. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and may God bless the people of Ontario.
We will now open the floor for questions. Please come up to the mic and state your name and outlet. First question.
Hi, morning, Premier. Richard Southern, 680 News Radio. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Richard?
Good, thank you. You've been pointing out all the other places Ontarians can buy alcohol, including here at this brewery today.
Right.
So if there's so many options, why hasten the plan to sell alcohol in corner stores, sir?
Well, we were elected on a mandate, Richard, a very clear mandate, twice back to back. And we're going to give the people of Ontario the convenience and the choice, just like everywhere else. You can go into a convenience store, pick up a bottle of wine, ready to drink, or a case of beer. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to move forward on that. But I also want to thank a few folks here. I want to thank all the restaurant owners and banquet halls and people for having patience as we go through this. And we're going to get a deal done. I'm very confident of it.
Premier, the LCBO returns something like $2.5 billion annually to the province. Do you risk undermining that now, pointing out all the other places people can drink? Are you biting the hand that feeds you? And how will you recoup any lost money once the alcohol sales move to corner stores?
Well, I guess proof is in the pudding. Ever since the previous Liberal government put it in place, you've seen growth and the profits go up every single year with the LCBO. So the over 450 retailers that sell it right now, it's actually increased the profits. Keep in mind, when you're the wholesaler, that's where you make money. I think the world of the frontline workers at the LCBO, I've talked to hundreds of them, absolute hundreds, and I just want to thank them. We need to get back to the table. These folks don't want to be sitting out in the 100-degree weather or the pouring rain. They want to work. I want to thank them. They were so polite, the vast majority of them, and I talked to them. They want to get a deal. LCBO wants to get a deal. The people want to get a deal. And in my opinion, and I've told them, this strike should have never, ever happened. It should have never happened. We could have worked things out and everyone would be happy. So let's get back to the table. I'm asking OPSU, please go back to the table with LCBO and let's talk about what the people want. Number one, the customers, but let's talk about the workers. The workers want three things when I talk to them. They want job security, number one. They want the benefits, and they want wage increases. We've addressed all of them, and I encourage all the workers, please go on the LCBO website and read it. We've put it out there, and when I talked to them, none of them actually even saw the agreement that we put forward. So please take a look at the agreement, and let's get back to the table, and let's get back to work.
Hi, Premier. Jessica from the Trillium. Will you accept the offers from people with money and professionals offering their expertise to fix the Science Centre and keep it where it is?
Well, thanks for that question. They're going to be doing a press conference tomorrow. Run through all the issues that we see at the Ontario Science Centre. We did a peer review with the Science Centre, meaning we had another firm come in to confirm what the first firm said, and it would cost minimum close to $500 million. It would shut the Ontario Science Centre down. What we're going to do, we're going to build a state-of-the-art, world-class facility that people can come, and it's going to be more exhibit space. They're going to have more tourists come by, and it's going to just be spectacular.
Hopefully this is something we'll get an answer to tomorrow. If you
Yes.
can't answer it now, but I'll give it a shot.
Yeah,
On the
sure.
rack problem with the roof, we've been told that other public buildings have the same issue,
Yes.
including schools, and they aren't closing completely. So can you explain why the Science Centre needs to close completely when schools where children study don't have to?
Well, let's first talk about the Science Centre. We saw a fraction of it. There's issues all over the Science Centre, no matter if it's a heating and cooling system, if it's the asbestos. And by the way, when you fix the roof, asbestos comes down and goes throughout the building. We have lead paint and other dangerous chemicals that were built 55 years ago. This roof wasn't made to last 55 years. It was made a lifespan of 25 to 30 years. But make no mistake about it, we're going to build the greatest Science Centre in the country, bar none. It's going to be incredible. It's going to attract more people, and it's going to be at a destination that has other attractions as well, and that's at the Ontario Place and the Exhibition Stadium as well.
Morning, Premier. Liam Casey with the Canadian Press. You're just talking about how terrible shape the Science Centre is in,
Yes.
and how we need to build this awesome new Science Centre down at the Ontario Place.
Yes.
But there was a huge outpouring of outrage when you suddenly announced that it was going to close. Did you underestimate the public's love for the Science Centre in its current location? And has that given you any pause about maybe trying to save the Science Centre in its current location?
No, I never underestimated it at all. People are passionate. They've been going there. They, I think all of us went there on the school bus when we were younger. But at the end of the day, this is not a safe building. It's my responsibility as Premier to make sure people are safe. And when I have 2 engineering reports back to back, and I was briefed for over an hour, not just about the roof, about every issue you could possibly think of. It just doesn't make sense to throw good money into an old, decrepit building. We're going to build a state-of-the-art, world-class facility right down by Ontario Place. It's going to attract more people. It's going to have GO train service right basically outside the door. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing for the next generation, because right now that building's aged out. But I appreciate the passion. I talk to endless people about the Science Centre as well, and they're passionate. But once the report comes out tomorrow, please, I encourage everyone, listen to the technical report. You'll fall off your chair when you see all the issues we have down there, not just the roof.
So with the temporary Science Center not opening till 2026 at the earliest, and the Austin New Science Center not opening till 2028 at the earliest, what's going to happen to all the jobs, and what's going to happen to all the workers at the Science Center now?
Well, again, that's going to be up to the board over at the Science Center. We're going to try to help them as much as we possibly can, and we're going to try to keep them employed as long as we can. But that's going to be up to the board at the Ontario Science Center, and we're going to move forward with a brand new Science Center.
Premier Rahim Ladani, CTV News.
Yep.
What can be done to save the semesters of the dozens of students who had planned to go to the science school at the Ontario Science Center?
Well, we've set up camps at schools that they're going to be able to attend. But what I won't do, I'm not going to put those kids at risk. God forbid there's a heavy rainfall. And as they said, it'll be over. But the end of October, November, you get into the winter seasons. And when engineers are telling me this is critical, it's unsafe, I'm not chancing it. I'm just not going to chance kids or people to be in there.
If we can come back to the LCBO strike,
Sure.
Workers on the picket lines, they tell me that by coming to places like this today and by posting the video that you did earlier this week,
Yeah.
it actually highlights how vulnerable their jobs are, because you're telling Ontarians that they don't need the LCBO to get their booze. What's your response to that?
No, what I'm telling people as they're on strike, there are other options out there. Make no mistake about it. I talked to hundreds of frontline workers, and I appreciate them. The first thing I say, I appreciate the job you do. You walk into an LCBO store, the footprint is spectacular. I'll put our stores up against anywhere in the world. I'll put our workers up against anyone. They're cheerful. They keep moving. I'm going to make 2 things very, very clear. We're not privatizing the LCBO. We aren't selling the LCBO. We're not putting spirits into the retail stores, the big box stores. There's going to be a great LCBO store to contribute to the people of Ontario, and I'm just grateful for everything they do. And I also tell them this strike should have never, ever taken place, ever. We should have sat down, discussed the issues that matter to the people and the workers, and unfortunately, OPSEU walked away from the table. And we're willing to sit down anytime, or I should say the LCBO is willing to sit down anytime.
Hi, Premier. Tina Yazdani with City News. Just to follow up on that, OPSEU workers and the union, they would argue you are putting spirits in big box stores by including ready-made cocktails, and they've even said they will not return to the bargaining table unless you reconsider the ready-made cocktail specifically. Are you willing to reconsider that one item?
Well, they're absolutely not. If they want to negotiate over RTD, the deal's off. I'm going to repeat that. That ship has sailed. I've told the employees that the deal is off. It represents a very small percentage of overall sales, and we're putting those into retail. We're putting them in LCBO and convenience stores. And you can't compare a cooler to a bottle of vodka or a bottle of whiskey. But when you go in and you're buying your wine or your bottle of liquor, the coolers are there. You're going to pick up a pack from the LCBO. That's what an open marketplace looks like. Compete. You have the greatest stores I've ever seen. I've traveled all over the place. I'm confident with employees that work there. They're great people. Do you know what I heard from people? three things. They want job security, they want to make sure they get an increase, and they want benefits. They aren't worried about this RTD. Again, RTD is off the table. Let me be very clear. It's done, it's gone, that ship has sailed, it's halfway across Lake Ontario, and it's done. But we're there to support you. Again, I'm going to make it very clear. We're not selling the LCBO. It's a great asset. The people rely on job security there. And the quicker we get back to the table, the quicker we're going to be able to move forward with those three issues: benefits, salaries, and job security. And I think the world of the frontline workers. And by the way, I got to compliment them. When they call, they are so polite and so nice. I think the world of them. This isn't about the frontline workers. This is about making sure they have their job security and benefits and wages. That's what I worry about, is the frontline workers, not about RTD that plays a very small percentage in overall sales.
Okay. A lot of speculation also about what's going to happen to the property that the Science Centre is on. So what are your plans for that property?
Well, again, we don't own the property. We have a long-term lease. That's up to the city. I've offered the mayor, you can have that property, do with whatever you want to do with it. And that's it. We don't own the property. There's a misconception out there that, we own the property and we're going to put buildings on there. No, that's not accurate. It's the city of Toronto that owns it. And anything they decide to do outside of building another science center, we'll be there to support them, like we have with every other issue with the city of Toronto. We're there to support them. They want to put up a community center or other things, we're there for them.
Bonjour, Jérémy Bergeron, journaliste pour Radio-Canada. Ma question est pour le ministre des Finances. Et là, deux volets. La première partie, on vous voit depuis plusieurs jours là, sur la place publique dévoiler des faits sur la LCBO. Pourquoi négocier sur la place publique? Ce n'est pas un petit peu inhabituel? Et qu'avez-vous à dire à ces syndiqués qui craignent des pertes d'emplois en raison de cette ouverture du marché de l'alcool?
Merci beaucoup pour la question. Premièrement, comme le Premier ministre a dit, il faut être à la table, pour négocier un bon deal. C'est sur les choses comme les salaires, la sécurité d'emploi. Ce sont les choses que the LCBO avait offrir. Alors, il faut être clair. Reviens à table pour négocier un deal qui est bon pour les travailleurs, travailleuses qui sont très honorables dans les LCBO.
Thank you, Premier. Migrants Worker Defense Group are renewing their calls this week for stronger protection for migrant workers, including heat regulation. It's been almost a year since your government announced new heat regulation for workers, but nothing has been enacted yet. What do you say to these workers?
Well, to the workers, we really rely on their employer. When there's hot days out, they're going to make sure that they have the proper facility to keep them cool. And, the relationship between owners of facilities, just like this one here, I know Bobby, he takes care of his workers. They love him. So that goes right across the board. That's going to be up to the employer and the employees.
Hi, Premier. Good morning.
Good morning.
So yesterday, JP Hornick, the president of OPSU, said that the interactive map that the government released to help users to find outlets that sell alcohol beverages was an attempt to undermine the LCBO strike. What do you make of that? Was it an attempt to undermine the strike?
Well, first of all, I think we should be at the table. This strike should have never, ever happened. What that video was made for is to show people where they can go, places like Cool Beer right here, come by, pick up a case of beer, pick up a few cases of beer, to have another option. But it really states all the more reason why we need places like Cool Beer and small breweries and small wineries right across this great province. And I just wanted to get back to work. That's what everyone wants. And I can assure you that's what the workers want, because I talked to hundreds of them, absolutely hundreds. So that's what the video was for, and that's what we're doing. And I by the way, I made it at the house. I didn't make it up at the cottage. So
On the Science Center closure, there is obviously a huge outcry from the population against the decision to close it, but also against the decision of finding a temporary home for the exhibitions until they are moved to the Ontario Place. So can you explain this decision? Why does it make more sense to pay more money for a temporary science center that won't open until 2026 than just to fix the roof at the current building?
Well, thank you. It's not as simple as you just saying go in there and throw some shingles down and we're all done. You have to listen to the technical briefing. That place is absolutely just a total mess from top to bottom, to front to back, to every single building. Even the bridgeway is closed. The air conditioning's gone. It'd be a foolish decision. You know, I always use this example. I could take 100 people out from outside of Ontario and line them up and say, these are the issues at the Ontario Science Centre. And the list is from here to the floor. And would you put in hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions, have it closed, have asbestos all over the place and the lead paint and so on and so forth, or we're going to give you a brand new spanking world-class state-of-the-art, more exhibit space into an area that more people travel to. 100 out of 100 would be saying, take the new Science Center over an old decrepit building. I get their passion, right? I get it. They're passionate about a building. There's certain people out there that don't want to change anything. They don't want to change the Science Center. They want to leave Ontario Place alone. They don't want to build transit. They sure the heck don't want to build homes. We're different. We want to modernize alcohol sales. We want to modernize the Science Center. We want to modernize Ontario Place and make the city the world-class city it is. We just want to make sure it's better. That's the difference. We have the ones that say no, like Bonnie Crombie, no to everything, or our government that's saying we're moving this province forward, we're moving this city forward.
Good morning, Premier.
Good morning.
Chris Glover with CBC News. I want to go back to the LCBO strike because today initially 5 stores were supposed to be opening for wholesalers, and Restaurants Canada has said they're becoming increasingly concerned about bars and restaurants, and their members are telling them they're not able to get the stock that they need amid this strike right now. So given the fact that those 5 stores aren't going to be open for bars and restaurants to go and for wholesalers, what's the new plan? What are you going to do instead, as bars and restaurants are saying that they might not be able to wait this out, they don't have enough reliable stock?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the bars and restaurants, and they know that we also gave them the opportunity to sell directly to the public, which has been very beneficial to the bars and restaurants. I want to thank them for their patience, and we will get through this. You can order online. Anyone in Ontario, by the way, can go online and order a wide range of alcoholic beverages, and within a couple days, a few days, they'll be able to get their delivery. But I want to thank them for their patience, and there's going to be more opportunities for restaurants and bars as we move forward on this.
I know you made clear earlier that you see the LCBO in the future. This is about modernizing it, not destroying it or eliminating it. But you mentioned also that the ready-to-serve drinks, for example, was a hill you were willing to die on, and something that if they couldn't agree to that, the deal was done, it was over, you mentioned earlier on in this press conference.
That's right.
So I guess the question is, at what point are you willing to say, LCBO, no more, this isn't working, and I'm going to cut and run?
No, I'm not going to cut and run on the people of Ontario or with the frontline workers. You know something? The workers I've talked to, and even the head of the union hasn't talked to as many workers as I have on the phone, because that's what I've heard. I've been on that phone non-stop with them. They want job security. They want benefits. They want wages. And the RTDs are still going to be sold at the LCBO. And they're still going to be the wholesaler of RTD. And LCBO will be still the largest liquor distributor in the entire world. And we're just offering the people of Ontario more choice, more convenience. And if they want to continue talking about RTDs, it's done. It's absolutely done. When they want to come back and talk about what their frontline workers want, the benefits, the salaries, and job security, it's right in the proposal that we gave them that the frontline workers haven't even seen. So I've been sending it over to the workers, and they're shocked when they look at it. And many have called me back and said, this is a good deal. Why aren't we back at the table? My message to the workers out there, ask your leadership of OPSEU to get back to the table immediately. We want to make a deal. I think the world of the frontline workers. Get back to the table. We didn't walk away from the table. OPSEU walked away from the table, didn't even look at the proposal, and the workers need to look at the proposal, and you make a decision if you think it's fair or not. Every person I've sent this to, they even call me back and they say, that's a pretty fair proposal. Can we tweak this, tweak that? I'm not the one at the table, the LCBO is. But if they pass that message to the OPSEU leadership, which in my opinion, totally misjudged this. We should have never went on strike in the first place. This is just a terrible, terrible strike, and they need to get back to the table to represent their frontline workers. And I appreciate all the phone calls. When I say hundreds, folks, I'm probably over 1,000 yesterday. I can't talk to everyone. I apologize, but the volume's too high. But the ones I do talk to, they're incredible people. They work hard, and we built up, a quick relationship. I remember one group, when I called, they were out on strike. I told them to put me on speaker, record what I'm saying, and I talked to the whole group. By the end, they were asking me what my favorite football team was. I told them the Bears, and his was Baltimore, but that's the relationship. Another person I talked to, that hit you in the heart when she said, I called her just one-on-one and said, I'm a single mom with 2 kids. Am I going to have job security? My answer to that is make sure your leadership of OPSEU comes back to the table. And we're offering job security. Then I sent her over the contract as well. But I can tell you story after story after story about me talking to the frontline folks. Maybe it's unorthodox. A premier calls and returns people's calls, and they aren't hearing back from their own leadership. Well, that's the way I operate. I'll call back as many. And I apologize. I can't get back to everyone because it's just overwhelming. I went like 14 hours returning calls.
Hi, Premier. Laura Stone, Globe and Mail.
Hi, Laura.
Hey, so are we to take it that you're doing some kind of backdoor negotiations here about the deal and trying to convince? Well, I think you are. Didn't you just say that you're
I'm talking to them, but I tell them get back to the table. I don't negotiate, LCBO does, but I'll tell you what they tell me. It's benefits, job security, and making sure they get an increase. And when they don't even have the deal, I find it so ironic, Laura. It actually is mind-boggling. The more and more people I talk to, I'm thinking, they've never seen the deal. I can't believe it. Go online, and I've asked them, when I sent them the deal, I've asked the frontline workers, send it to all your workers, because obviously you haven't seen it. Go on the LCBO website, if you haven't seen the deal, pull it up. And if you think it's fair, then tell your OPSEU leadership. And one person mentioned, it's amazing how I can call the premier and he gets back to me in a minute and a half, but I call my own team and they don't get back to me. Something's broken here.
So you said earlier you're confident a deal can get done, but it seems like you're so far apart now, and this ready-to-drink issue is really the one that the union brings up, and they tie it directly to job security. They say we need guarantees no one's losing their job over this expansion. So how long are you willing to let this go on?
Well, number one issue, again, is job security with these folks. 9% of the overall sales is ready to drink. They're still going to maintain a massive amount of that. When people come into an LCBO store, they have a beautiful footprint, and they have great employees. They greet them, they treat them well. It's like any other business. You compete. When you walk in the LCBO store, you're treated well, like I know they are, people will come back, repeat customers. But again, that's such a small issue. Even when I talk to the workers, it's not that issue. The issue is the 3 that I mentioned over and over again. They do not want to be on strike. I've heard it over and over again. They want to go back to work. We aren't that far apart. You know, you take off the RTD, which is next to nothing, take off the RTD and talk about what they want, the workers. And that's the message I send to the leadership of OPSEU. And I send the message to the frontline, hardworking people that just want to get a paycheck, want to pay rent, want to put food on their table, want to pay a mortgage. Please send that message to your leadership. We need to get back to the table and work out a deal. We aren't that far apart if they come back to the table.
The last question.
Hey, good morning, Premier Colin DeMello from Global News. Just on a separate subject, the subject of your personal cell phone that you use for government business. Global News has been trying for a long time to get a snapshot of 1 week of your phone call records, and the government has been fighting back for many months now, escalating this fight with us. Why are you so afraid of releasing your personal cell phone records?
You know, Colin, good question. For years, my brother, myself, my dad, my nephew, we do business a little differently. When was the last time people could literally pick up the phone and call the Premier or text me, don't call me, it's quicker, and get an actual call back? I have helped thousands and thousands of people on issues you can't even think of, that I couldn't even think of, on personal health issues, on everything from cutting someone's bushes. I don't care if it's municipal, provincial, or a federal issue. I try to help them. But there's one thing that I always guarantee them, and they're always nervous. Even the LCBO workers were nervous. Don't use my name. I'm telling you in confidence. But let me tell you something. Those are confidential conversations. I help people about their health, about other personal issues they're facing, and they do not want that out in the public. That's sacred. When you call an elected official's office, it's no different than calling anyone who's elected. Would you want your conversation be put public? The answer is no. Just imagine if every single politician made their personal conversations with their constituents public. It would be a disaster. There'd be zero trust. They'd never call an elected official for help because they know the whole world would know their conversation. So that's the reason. It's very simple. It's about confidentiality and trust with your constituents.
But these conversations are not always happening with constituents. I mean, during the pandemic, you had told us all that you had had conversations with the CEOs of big companies. You handed out your cell phone number at the Pearson International Airport. You handed out your cell phone number at the U.S.-Canada Summit recently. You handed out your cell phone number at the Ontario Real Estate Conference. I mean, those are not necessarily your constituents, or they might not be constituents of this province at all. As the Premier of Ontario, don't you feel like you have a higher standard to set here, that your conversations with a CEO of a company should be part of the public record? Maybe not the subject of the conversation, but the fact that you had the call with them.
Let me be very clear. Any call that comes into any constituency office, anywhere, municipally, provincially, or federally, needs to be confidential. They talk about private issues about their family, about other issues. They need to stay confidential. It's as simple as that. I come out here, I do press conferences, you can ask me anything. But I'm not going to start throwing out names in the conversations of people that I talk to. I'm not going to throw out names of the endless hundreds of LCBO workers that I've talked to. I've given them my word, and I'm going to make sure that stays confidence. And every person out there, I can guarantee you, you call me, you have a personal issue about anything, it's going to stay confidential. And I'm going to do everything I can to help you. I've helped thousands of people over the number of years. That's the way the Fords do business. You call us directly, we get back to you. And again, I want to apologize for the people I haven't been able to get back to because the calls are just overwhelming right now.
Thank you for coming.
That's great. Thank you so much. Let's get a deal. Let's get back to work and make the workers happy and make the people of Ontario happy. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
Oh, well, you've been listening to Premier Doug Ford answering several questions from reporters, first time answering questions since the LCBO went on strike last Friday.